I was chronically sick. Doctors labelled me with chronic fatigue syndrome, which is a doctor's polite way of saying I've got no idea what's wrong with you. Absolute exhaustion, inflammation throughout my whole body, pain, couldn't run 50 metres without being dizzy. If you cut out the crap from your diet and replace it with high quality nutrition, your life will change, and an absolute miracle occurred. Within 2 to 3 weeks, I was feeling like a brand new person. We started out of our apartment. We brought the powders in and then we just filled them into pouches. We went from $0 to doing over $10 million bootstrapped in 3 years. And then when we moved into our facility, sales skyrocketed.
Hear the stories, learn the proven methods, and accelerate your growth and future through entrepreneurship. Welcome to the Foundr podcast with Nathan Chan.
We've got Caleb Marshall, founder of Tropeaka, incredible supplements brand. He's come down from Sydney, all the way from Sydney to do this interview. So Caleb, thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Thanks for having me, mate.
You're welcome. So let's start off with your story. You experienced chronic fatigue in 2011, and that's really what shaped this brand. Tell me exactly what happened.
Yeah, so it was a very horrible period in my life. Between 2011 and to 2014, for 3.5 years, I was chronically sick. Doctors labelled me with chronic fatigue syndrome, which is a doctor's polite way of saying I've got no idea what's wrong with you. And that's because it's an exclusionary illness. So they go down the list of different possible issues that you could have. And then they get to the bottom and they say, well, it's not this, 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 and this. And they get to the bottom and they say, well, the only thing we have left is to label you with chronic fatigue syndrome. And what that looked like on a day-to-day basis was absolute exhaustion, inflammation throughout my whole body, pain. I couldn't run 50 metres without being dizzy. With the physical pain, I had emotional pain. I was depressed. I had suicidal thoughts at times. And one of the worst things was a lack of hope, because doctors didn't know what was wrong with me and when I'd be healthy again. And that led me on a path of self-discovery of like, how do I heal myself? And in 2014, I found a thing called functional and integrative medicine. And they look at the underlying, they try to find the underlying root cause of why you're sick in the first place. And they also say things like, if you cut out the crap from your diet and replace it with high quality nutrition, as well as doing other very important things like focusing on great sleep, stress reduction, exercise, drinking clean filtered water, all of that stuff. But for the biggest focus is cutting out the crap from your diet and replacing it with that high quality nutrition. They say your life will change around. Your body has the capacity to heal itself in the vast majority of cases. And I tried everything else and I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And I did that and an absolute miracle occurred. And within 2 to 3 weeks, I was feeling like a brand new person again. I'd reduced that inflammatory load on my body and I was feeling, and I wasn't getting those symptoms, and my body was starting to heal. And my housemate at the time was going through his own health issues, and high quality nutrition changed his life around as well. Now, on a side note, I learned through functional medicine, the underlying root cause was long-term antibiotic use for my skin as a teenager that I used because I had acne. And so those 5 years of antibiotics absolutely destroyed my gut. And with that, that's where your immune system is. And so my immune system was massively compromised. Anyway, through all of this journey, as we were trying to get healthy and were getting healthy, we'd go down to the health food store in 2014 and realize the only people going into a health food store at the time were old people and hippies. Like no one was making health foods cool to anyone. Everything was in a brown paper bag. And one of the best strategies in business is finding old, outdated industries and being like, how can you make this cool? How can you, especially in the world of social media, where we realized like, okay, a fashion brand or an alcohol brand could make their products cool in 2014, but no one could make health foods cool. And social media is there as an outlet for people to express their values. And we recognized that. We're like, let's do it on an absolute, bootstrap shoestring kind of budget, barely any money. And so it took us 2 years to find the best product development experts to help us develop the best products. We obviously were consumers of the products, so we really knew what we loved and what we wanted to do as well. And then all the other things that come with growing a business and launching. And so in 2016, we finally launched, and we had a $0 marketing budget. We put all our money into buying inventory and getting the website up and running and all of that fun stuff. And so we're like, well, what do we do? How do we sell this product? And so I stumbled across a thing called influencer marketing. And it was, if you send your products to people on social media, which was the thing that we were trying to endeavor in doing anyway, then hopefully they might promote the product for free. And we did that. And because we were the first in the industry to, one, have an incredibly good product that was branded really well, and the product did what it said it would do, so people had a great impact from it, we got so much free publicity because of it through these influencers back then. And I'm going much further than what your question said, but I might as well tell the full journey, well, a lot of it. But in that time, we we didn't need to spend money in order to grow the business. It was an exceptionally great time to be kind of that first mover advantage around providing a product and a brand that people wanted to get behind and really enjoyed taking.
Yeah, I see. So talk me through, like, obviously working on your gut health and eating high quality foods helped change your life and your housemate's life. What was the first idea iteration of the product? Did you start with a hero product? I know we've got some research here. You put in $60,000 to launch your business and get the first line of supplements. Talk me through the details.
Yeah, so my housemate became my co-founder. I should probably mention that as well. So it was a really cool story there. And we ended up putting in $60,000 each over the course of that 2-year period. So we'd work 16-hour days. I was a tennis coach. I was getting healthy so I could work a lot, and I put all of my money over that 2-year period into launching the business. And so the funny thing is, the first thing that we wanted to do in terms of product development was kombucha before kombucha was cool. I still remember making my own kombucha back in the day before it hit, I think around 2017, it became pretty trendy. So this is 2014, but we didn't have the money to start a kombucha brand.
Yeah.
And buy, the MOQs and things along those lines. So we're like, well, what else do we take? Well, we love organic superfoods. And so we decided to start an organic superfood brand. And the funny thing that came out of that was we also, as an afterthought just before launch, we're like, oh, we take plant proteins. We should create a plant protein product as well. And that ended up being our hero product. It's a much bigger niche, protein powders, than organic superfoods. So thank God for that. And we essentially became the first company, at least in Australia, one of the first in the world. I didn't know any other company that had a plant protein that tasted great. They all tasted like crap back in the day, and was branded really cool and something that someone would want to show off to their friends rather than something in a brown paper bag. So yeah, that was our first products.
Got you. So you launched with a plant-based protein in the superfoods. What happens with the superfoods?
Oh, they're still around.
Okay.
And they're doing great. So they're in major retail, and we export them all around the world. But we went to our first love was, we take superfoods, greens powders, immune supporting powders, and acai powder, all organic. So that was kind of we're scratching our own itch. We're like, we want to be able to take these products as well.
Yes.
And that's how it kind of came about. But then we were like, we can also do a protein here. And we did take proteins, and we're like, we can make this protein taste a bit better than what we're taking at the moment through X, Y, and Z. Yep,
got you. So when it came to the launch, talk me through your first sale. Was it through influencer marketing? How much did it cost to launch, right? You and your co-founder put in $60,000 from 2016 to 2018, is that right?
So 120,000 in total.
Yeah, okay. And that's just in stock?
From 2014 to 2016.
Okay, so 2014 to 2016, you put in $60,000 each. And that was just in stock, or
website, the whole box and dice.
Yeah. Okay.
Us wasting money trying to figure out what to do. Trying to answer the question of what do we not know that we don't. What do we don't know that we don't know.
Yep. Okay. And talk to me around first batch of orders. What was MOQ? How many products did you launch with? And how did you get your first sale?
Yeah, so we started out of our apartment.
Yep.
And we brought the powders in that were already completed powders, and then we just filled them into pouches.
Yeah.
And so you don't know about how, like, the funny thing is we have the highest level of product quality and food safety at the moment where Tropeaka is with HACCP, was HACCP certified, but we had none of that back in the day. But we always think, like, when you start out of your own apartment and your own house, like, your food quality and food safety, when it's just the two of you, is the highest it'll ever be. It's like, one, you live in the place, but two, it's the two founders doing whatever they can to make the product the best it possibly can from day one. So it was one of those stories where, we're starting out of our apartment, but we were able to still produce high quality products that then we'd send to customers. They didn't know that it was coming out of an apartment. All they saw was, oh, this is fantastic and high quality. And so that's where we started. In terms of our first sale, I still remember our first sale that came in, and it was through an influencer. I still remember our first influencer who posted. She posted around our acai and our immunity product. And I think I saw her at a trade, an expo, like a few years ago. And I was like, did you know you helped generate our first customer? So it was like a special experience. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And was like sales booming because you were early days influencer marketing, or was it like, talk me through that?
Yeah, so it took us 9 months to get out of our apartment. So I don't know if you'd say that's booming. I mean, it was booming for a company that was in an apartment.
Yeah, yeah.
So the trajectory of our business was we went from $0 to doing over $10 million bootstrapped in 3 years.
Yep.
So that period was booming. But I remember it was just the most perfect timing when as soon as we got out of our apartment into our first warehouse and first food facility, sales skyrocketed that next month. So it was, and then when we moved into our facility, the one before where we are now, sales skyrocketed. So there's been some really perfect, I suppose, divine timing in everything, which has been very special.
Yeah. And look, there's a lot of supplement brands, superfood brands out there. For anyone watching, what advice would you give to compete in this market?
Today, you really need to come up with something that's innovative. And when I say innovative, what I mean is that every week I see a new company in the health and wellness space come up and it's the same thing. And it's like, do you not realize like what you're up against? Like there are so many companies doing what we do. They have the budgets that can just outcompete you with CPMs. They have the know-how. They have the brand reputation and loyalty and following to crush you. Like it is so hard when it's a saturated market. The blessing with this market is it's a low barrier to entry. So we were able to get in the early days back in 2016. But the issue with a low barrier to entry is every man and his dog's trying to create a protein and superfood company at the moment. So I'll give you some good examples of how to do it. There's a guy I can't remember his name, but there's a guy on Instagram and he was like the first to bring out sea moss. And there was no sea moss like 3 years ago and he's doing a great job. And it's innovative. He's using his audience to promote a product that isn't saturated. He's bringing a really high quality product to market. And that's awesome to see. Whereas if you don't have that point of difference, you're just going to get flooded and saturated from competition. So always trying to think, okay, what's different about this? Why would a customer want to purchase off me as opposed to someone else? And then also being aware that first mover is great, but also first mover on the flip side is really tough. And an example of that is we are first movers in a thing called beauty custard, which is the world's first beauty powder. It's you mix it in with cold water and milk, and you can have a delicious dessert in 1 minute. And the issue with that is there's no other beauty custard on the planet. So it takes a whole lot of education, which costs a lot of money, in order to teach people, one, why they should buy this product and why they should use it in the first place. So although I say, okay, you got to come up with something innovative, you've also got to balance that off with what are your capabilities of educating an audience that, one, you don't have because you're a new company, to, one, purchase the product, know that it's better to purchase off you than going and purchasing another health food product. And then on top of that, how to actually use it in the first place.
So what would you say to somebody that's thinking of drop shipping something like Shilajit?
Well,
is there a business in that?
Well, drop shipping is extremely hard. I've never done drop shipping, but I've listened to enough people who I look up to who have said like drop shipping is tough. And I mean, I can see the value in drop shipping to test a market. And I can also see, okay, Shilajit is trending really hard on TikTok, and it's a great quality product, especially if you get the tar.
So that thing's legit.
I was taking Shilajit 4 years ago.
Really?
Before anyone even knew about it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's been used for thousands of years, so I'm not really that much of a first mover there.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's a legit product. It's a great product. But I could name a few companies already dominating that space. I was just at an expo a couple of weeks ago, and there was Shilajit companies. So yeah, again, you're going up against competition.
So if you want to, if anyone's watching, listening, or reading this, and they want to create an incredible health and wellness brand in the supplement space, you need to create a brand, right? And like, what has been key to Tropeaka in terms of brand building? Like, you've started with a great product, you've got a great story, right? That's a story people will remember. That's a story people will resonate with. It's an amazing origin story, and it really shows the strength of your products. But what else do people need from your perspective to create a brand that stands out in this market?
Well, brand is really just the reputation you hold, and you can hold reputation through a number of ways. We hold reputation by the fact that we have over 20,000 five-star reviews. We hold reputation over the fact that you can put the product anywhere on your shelf at home, or even cafes do this and show it off as a statement piece. We hold brand through the fact that people want to tell others about our products, and one of our biggest acquisition channels is word of mouth. So brand is everything. Brand is what separates you from your competition, but brand is not a thing unless you build something foundational behind the brand in order to give brand what it's meant to give. You can have a bad brand and you can have a good brand. And so the components of a good brand is all of those things that I just said.
What about association? Do you guys have any sponsored ambassadors? Like, I know that's a big thing. Oh, I can't remember that company, but there was that guy. He was a bit funny looking, but he was a real muscly kind of dude. And he had an old ambassador program for his line of, I guess, powders and stuff. Oh, I forget now. He's come and gone, but yeah, like, do you have an ambassador program, or do you do anything like that?
Yeah, we have. I mean, we still do have influencers and ambassadors. We were very, very dominant in the influencer marketing space between 2016 and 2020, up until COVID, and then everyone came in with dumb money, especially corporations, and started throwing massive amounts at influencers, and then also the level of trust that influencers once held has been degrading for quite some time. But we focus a lot still on areas where trust is still relatively high, like micros and nanos and those with smaller audiences. And we do both in-house and work with an external agency there as well in order to do that. But that's just one piece of our puzzle. Our main focus is performance marketing these days. But we try and encourage our customers to be our influencers. So again, like acquisition, word of mouth is one of our greatest acquisition channels. So the question is, how can we as a business help people tell other people about our products? And, you know, there's a range of strategies from what everyone now does, but it was innovative back in the day, many years ago, which is, you know, give some sort of incentive for people posting on their account on social media for their next order. And there's different programs that you can use, like Shopify collabs and whatnot, that allow you to have a system in place to help people and create as little friction as possible to be an ambassador for your company.
Yeah. So if you were to start a brand today, would you start with performance, or you'd start with influencer, or what would you do to get traction? Assuming the product is great.
I would start with performance, pay to play. Absolutely. I mean, organic is so tough, even for influencers. Like, there's just a growing amount of competition across content, and it's going to exponentially scale in the next year and 2 years off the back of AI. Even Mark Zuckerberg came out a couple of weeks ago and showed his video version of AI video content that people will have access to next year. AI is going to create scale that will be mind-boggling. And so the only way that you can guarantee getting eyeballs is through pay to play, which is performance marketing. And I'm completely happy as a company figuring out, okay, what do I need to do in order to produce great creative that I can then send to millions of people in order to convince them to purchase my product. That does not mean that you shouldn't look at a whole bunch of different strategies, including influencer marketing and ambassadors, and you should have an ambassador program for your existing customers. But it's not the glory days of influencer marketing anymore, and hasn't been for a long time.
Okay, so even with the emergence of TikTok Shop, you don't see do you guys would ship internationally? You guys on TikTok Shop?
So no, we're not. So that's a great point. And I was, funnily enough, and I should have said this earlier, treat what I say as well with a grain of salt. Things change so quickly, right? And so I don't hold firmly to any beliefs. Like, it's, October 21st, 2024. You could ask me this in December and my opinion could completely change. And that's what's so important, that you stay up ahead with the trends and know what you're doing. So at the moment, TikTok Shop isn't available to Australians, but I'm going to be the first on TikTok Shop when it's available. And yeah, utilizing creators to incentivize and provide a commission is a great idea. I mean, we do that already through Shopify collabs, and it has success. And also take what I say as a grain of salt, because our business is structured in a certain way. Like, I could be saying all of this stuff and I could just suck at influencer marketing these days. I could try TikTok Shops and tell you that it's not good and I could just suck at it. I see plenty of accounts that say, hey, I made $100,000 last month on TikTok Shops. Now, are they telling the truth? Maybe not. Maybe they are. And I think the only way for you to get a definitive answer as a founder is you need to dig deep into things, test, and see if it works for your business. And that's the other thing. Everyone sells different products. So you need to have an answer that applies to your company, not someone else's company, including mine.
Yeah, no, I agree. One of my mentors once said to me this thing around situational stage advice, right? Like, it was early days Foundr. And I was like, oh man, do you think I should just be responding to every comment on Instagram? Because that's what Gary Vee does. That's what Gary Vee says to do, right? And he's like, Nathan, you got millions of followers on Instagram for Foundr. Gary Vee has millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in salary that he can afford to pay people. So he has the time to do that. He's like, you don't, right? And that's where you have to be really, really careful when you listen to a podcast like this, because people can just take something. It's like, that's the gospel. That's the truth. That's how it works. At the end of the day, every single channel works. It just depends on your execution. Do you agree with that?
So true. So true. And who are your employees within your business, and what are their strengths? Right? That's the question you need to be asking yourself if you do have employees and you're not just a founder by yourself. Like, I've got to be asking myself every day, okay, is our front office marketing department and the agencies that we work with, are they set up to effectively execute on this channel or that channel? What are our creators and our in-house creative team? Like, what kind of creative are they really good at? Are they really good at video? Are they really good at Pinterest images? Should we be on Pinterest and spending money on Pinterest because everyone wants to talk about TikTok and everyone wants to talk about Meta? Well, I can guarantee there's companies out there killing it on Pinterest.
100%.
I know one.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
We're not killing it on Pinterest. Doesn't mean that Pinterest isn't great, right? So you need to know your product, but also you need to know your team. And you also need to know the type of product that you're selling even within an industry to really make an informed decision.
Hey guys, I really hope you're feeling inspired from today's interview. Now the truth is, all successful e-commerce founders started from zero, with a spark of an idea and a whole lot of determination. But let's be real, building or growing an e-commerce business is no walk in the park. And that's where Foundr Plus comes in, which I'm really excited to share with you. It's a culmination of a decade worth of work at Foundr. So if you're feeling stuck in your e-commerce business, you're lacking confidence to move forward, or you're worried about making costly mistakes or not knowing how to grow your business, Foundr Plus is here to support you on your journey. You get access to a customized learning pathway with proven frameworks from successful e-commerce founders for fast results, incredible programs, a supportive community, weekly live mentorship, exclusive savings on startup tools, and 24/7 real human support. Try Foundr Plus today for just $1 for 7 days so you can accelerate your business goals. Visit foundr.com/start $trial or click the link in the description to claim your trial. All right, now let's jump back in the show. So talk me through Tropeaka's growth. What can you share with us around any numbers around, you started this company, almost a decade ago now? You started in 2016?
2016.
Yeah, you started in 2016, so almost a decade now. Can you talk us through what you can share around, you've gone from zero, bootstrapped the business still, 0 to 10 million in 3 years, where you guys are at now. What can you share around either valuation, top line revenue, any major financial milestones that you'd like to share, just to give people an understanding of scale?
Yeah, so we don't disclose our numbers. I don't even know what our valuation is, but we're an 8-figure a year business. We're growing, which is great, growing across retail, e-commerce, and exports. And yeah, still 100% owned by Blake, my co-founder, and I, and bootstrapped and loving it. Yeah,
awesome. So talk me through, I guess, the early stages, that first couple of years of getting the business up and going. Talk me about the hard times. Were there any times you felt like giving up? Were there any times you thought, this ain't going to work?
Yeah, so Blake and I, we've never felt like giving up, but we've certainly had plenty of occasions where we know things aren't working and won't work. And we've learnt a lot through our mistakes. One of the biggest dangers in business is not knowing what you don't know. And so I think so much of what you're trying to figure out in those first couple of years, but even now, is like, what do I not know that I need to ask someone to tell me what my blind spots are? And that's where mentors are so great. But mentors don't have to be anything official, right? So from how to send freight domestically and internationally, when we first started, we were sending freight internationally after like 8 or 9 months. How to set up operations, how to create a facility that's able to scale with the systems around it to ensure we maintain food quality and food safety, how to become certified organic, how to have the correct inventory system because we're manufacturers, how to be great at HR. All of these were massive challenges that we had no idea how to do it. So I asked a heap load of questions, and that has been one of the best ways to expedite success. Finding people who are smarter than you and being like, what do I do here? And one of the great places to do that as well is like, find a provider and then ask them heaps of questions, because it's in their economic incentive, if they're providing a service, to tell you about their service plus the other peripheral things, of which there are many, around their chosen topic. So for instance, we have consultants around inventory systems. And so I asked the question, okay, what else would they know? Or that they would know potentially operations, systems and operations, freight and operations, connecting different systems within a company, from the website to the inventory system to the shipping system. And so these experts, they'll provide you with one service, but then you can ask those questions because you've engaged them to learn more about the service, and suddenly you get free mentorship while also paying them to do a service.
Yeah, look, I think consultants, agencies, always great to learn, find out what they're doing with other clients, but then at the same time, over time, where you can, you want to bring that internally. It depends though. Once again, situational stage. But yeah, I agree. That's a great way to learn, especially when you're paying for a service and they have experience and exposure to other markets and other industries to find out what's working.
Absolutely.
So can you give us an example, I guess, if we go a little deeper, Caleb? I'd just like to go a little deeper. Like in those first 2 years, you started with influencer marketing. Was there anything there where it was just like, wow, this is not working, right? Or was it just like fully smooth sailing?
The funny thing is, I have an incredible ability to forget things that were painful.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And I think you need that as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I can't remember, like I have a really good memory, but even my fiance is like, man, you forget things about like traumatic events in business, like from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it needs to be water off a duck's back. So, I mean, I look back at some of the things that were really traumatic that still I get like some PTSD from, and that's like moving warehouses while being bootstrapped. It's not like you have all this cash flow to then put into building and constructing a new facility and then not being able to have any downtime and moving it all across, and the costs involved in that, and the legalities around CDCs and OCs, and you've got HACCP and you've got ACO certified organic and USDA certified organic to keep happy and all that. So they were a couple of my most challenging moments in my life that really I wouldn't wish on my enemies. But besides that, look, we started from absolute rock bottom, like no money. And then during the times when I was sick, I was riding around on an old push bike that I had to get repaired. I was flat broke, chronically sick. So any sale was better than what I had. That doesn't mean that every day wasn't like working my ass off 16 hours a day across tennis coaching and this new company to get it into a space where we could actually start paying ourselves. It was close to a full year before I stopped being a tennis coach entirely, about 10, 11 months. So the irony with it is you're working 16-hour days doing something very unhealthy and stressful while running a health food company, trying to preach to be healthy. But that's the sacrifice you have to make. Our central mission in our company is to positively impact millions of people in their health. I know how much it sucks to be unhealthy, and I want to do whatever I can to make millions of people healthy. And by blessing so many people, and my team has that same vision, we're able to have ourselves blessed at the same time when you impact so many people.
I remember when I was early days Foundr, man, I didn't sleep some nights. I was having so much fun. Did that happen to you? 16-hour days, that's pretty long, man.
It is.
I was doing 80-hour weeks, above 80, 90-hour weeks.
Yeah. Well, 16-hour days Monday to Friday, and then I dropped back to about 8-hour days on the weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love what I do. Like I still to this day, I have the same passion. It's like I can see someone watching Netflix next to me and I have no interest. I want to work. I love building stuff. I have the entrepreneurial spirit running through my veins, and it's fueled by a lot of pain in my health back in the day and how powerful it was, my life turning around so that I could not only not be practically bedridden at some time, but now being able to live a life full of energy and full of purpose and passion. I'm so incredibly grateful.
Have you ever experienced burnout?
Not during Tropeaka. You could call chronic fatigue syndrome when I was sick, burnout, but I'm so proactive on looking after my health and so proactive on recovery. And I know what I need to do to look after my body. And I put myself through the fire so often mentally that I reject all thought of burnout. And I think, and I truly believe that if people aren't looking after the 5 key fundamentals of their health, which is cut out the crap from your diet and replace it with high quality nutrition, drink clean filtered water, get great sleep. I get great sleep every day, or I aim to. Stress reduction and finding ways to meditate or reduce stress, and exercise. I know that they're the foundational elements of great health, and that so many cases of burnout are because people aren't focusing on all 5 of those things. And that's something that I do every single day. And I'll need to continue to do that and be very disciplined around it.
Yeah, look, I was going through each of your 5 things because I've went through burnout, and I wouldn't wish it, like same as you, I wouldn't wish it on not that I have any enemies, but like I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. Like I remember thinking I could have all the money, the success, all these things that we, inherently strive for, like the greatest business in the world. But you don't have anything if you don't have your mental health. And I went through a period where I'm sure, same as you guys, COVID just absolutely boomed, and it did for us at Foundr. And I was like, you know what, and you couldn't do anything but work. And I worked. And then when things started to come back early 2021, I was just like, I didn't even want to go to work. It was really, really, really tough. And I look back on those 5 things that you shared, and I wasn't really doing any of them. And then it's no wonder that happened. And like up until that point, I had no off switch, and I loved work. And there's a part of me, man, that perhaps I haven't like fully ever got back to that ever since then. And it's really, really tough. Like, so with your chronic fatigue, that came obviously from the food and nutrition, but were you working super hard as well? And did you live a very stressful life, or?
I wasn't working very hard. Pre-2011, I was at university.
Yeah.
I had stress in my life, but the main thing was the long-term antibiotic use. I should also say, by the way, I know my limits. Like I'm not working 16-hour days now.
Yeah.
I mean, occasionally I might get up to 15 hours, but on a day-to-day basis, I'm working Monday to Friday, 12 hours.
Yep.
Actually, no, working more than that. 13 hours, maybe 14 hours. And then I'm also going out and reducing stress throughout the day. Like I live on the beach. I'm able to go ground in the sun, exercise, be by myself, mentally refresh, have deep breaths, and do the things that I need to do in order to look after my health and put myself first, because I can't be a great leader without putting myself first. And so it's really important to know your limits. If my limit hits and I recognize that, and suddenly I can only work 8 hours a day, then I'll work 8 hours a day. I won't go and work 12-hour days because that's what I'm meant to do. I'm just very grateful and very blessed that my body is capable looking after those 5 foundational elements of great health. My body allows me to work 13 hours a day, Monday to Friday, and then on the weekend, I might do 8 hours a day, 6 hours one day maybe.
Yeah, got you. Thanks for sharing, man. And look, when it comes to expansion, you said you guys are in over 70 countries, right? Can you talk us through kind of partnerships and the retail side of that that's allowed you to rapidly grow, and what you've had to do there? Because I think iOS 14, you talk about performance marketing, post-COVID boom, then iOS 14, a lot of e-commerce brands or strong performance marketing-led companies really took a big hit, right? Massively, because it's only natural, right? You have one channel, you just keep doubling down, right? And so I found that out of my successful founder friends, the ones that, particularly we'll talk in the context of e-com, the ones that were just really focused just on performance versus had a performance and retail. They were able to work their way through it. Now Facebook ads is back better than ever, and it works really well. Still not as easy as what it was, but you can make it work again. It was really, really tough there for some period of time, unless you had a really good AOV and just you had a solid brand. But now that the brands that really stood the test of time, that didn't take too much of a hit, they had a strong retail arm. So you guys were one of those?
No. So we do now.
Yeah.
One of our biggest mistakes in business was not going into retail early enough. We had the majors in Australia, all of them, from 2018 saying, hey, we want you stocked. And we chose not to, off the back of a little bit of stupidity, just saying, look, our brand is premium and there's not a place for that in a major supermarket or a major retailer. And also we were dominating online. Why go into retail? And the
margin aren't as good.
Sorry?
Margins aren't as good.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But also like cannibalization of product sales and things along those lines we were thinking about. But that was a dumb decision. And it was a dumb decision because history shows us that COVID came. And then again, every man and his dog wanted to come in, start a health food company during that time. And all the major corporations and all these just companies even outside of your industry that are competing with you in the meta auction came in and drove up CPMs and CPAs. And so we really struggled after the first 6 to 9 months of COVID. It was really, really tough, big competition. And so we're like, oh crap, we better do something about this. And it was diversification that was so, so key. And so the last 3 years, we've been driving heavily into retail and export markets. And now Meta's back and our company's doing great with eCommerce again, which is awesome. But more importantly, we have diversification around retail and export. And it's like those black swan events, I think the phrase is called, where it's those events that come from nowhere that you can never see, like COVID, that disrupt your business. And unless you are diversified, you're very vulnerable. And so I'm very proud of our team. The last two and a half years, we've dug ourselves out of that hole, and our company's stronger than ever now.
You talk about performance and meta. When did you find things starting to work again and you start to, it's really working? When did you find that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, probably around this time last year.
Yeah.
Going into Black Friday again.
Yeah. Started when they started bringing that Performance Max.
Yeah, I think so. I don't touch the day-to-day anymore. I used to run our accounts back in the day.
Yeah.
And I haven't for a number of years. We also went through some experience of working with bad agencies as well. That kind of set us back a little bit. But at the moment, our job is creative and producing great creative, and then working with an agency who's able to do the magic after that. And my marketing team has a focus on that as well with them.
These days, it's creative game more than ever, right? Can you talk to your experience there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, creative is the new targeting. And so having a really good understanding of the core pillars that your company creatively should be based around, and knowing what pillars attract customers and kind of with each end benefit that your products are situated around is really important. So what do I mean by that? Like at Tropeaka, we have a range of different products, and it's a very different customer for all of them. We have everything from a greens powder to a collagen powder to a bundle for menopause, right? And so different genders, different age groups, different interests, different periods of their life, and different problems that we're trying to provide a solution for. So that requires completely different core pillars of content for you to create creative around. We have a range of it, from founder-led stuff, us versus them, sale creative. That's one that you've got to nail as well during key periods in the calendar year. Static-based, video-based, expert base, because we do work with health professionals as well. So figuring out and producing enough creative and knowing what creative and foundational pillars are working best in your business, and then figuring out, okay, well, how can we produce more of that is really important.
So could you share what you guys monthly spend is? Could you share that? Like, is it multiple 6-7 figures a month?
It's in the 6 figures. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So how much creative would you guys produce and run and test every single month?
I'd guess around 40.
40 different variants?
40. No, we'll produce variants of each bit of creative.
Yep. So 40 original pieces.
Yeah, but remember, a lot static as well.
Yeah, okay.
So we're not doing 40 videos.
Yeah.
So we might pump through a few videos a week.
Yep.
On a good week 5.
Yep.
And then different hooks and variants on that.
Yep.
But we have the capacity to scale static creative as well.
And when it comes to, I guess, the post-purchasing sequence, and you guys have a great product and it's a consumable product. Are you guys focusing on repeat purchases? You getting into the subscription side of things and really driving that? What's your plans there?
Absolutely. So, we're a fast-moving consumable good. So having a really strong back-end repeat customer flow is crucial. Having just strong email marketing campaigns, SMS campaigns, and then also tying that to subscriptions. So having different flows for subscription-based customers and the incentives around that. Loyalty is another one that we rely heavily on and we've built out very, very well over the years. So we have a very good repeat customer rate for that reason, and we're always looking to really get more out of the most profitable type of customer, which is your existing customer, and getting them involved in all different areas as well. So how can we get someone who got a subscription onto loyalty, or how can we get someone who joined our loyalty program onto a subscription? How can we get them onto our SMS list? How can we interact more with them in a variety of different ways and build a deep and meaningful relationship is something that we really care about.
Yeah. So we have to work towards wrapping up, Caleb. What's your goals and plans for the future of Tropeaka?
We're really excited about expanding internationally. So we're working on a US 3PL.
Yep.
And we'll have that sorted in the next few months. The US is our second biggest market, and it's still a crappy experience, even 8 years on. That's another mistake that we've made, where we haven't moved into a 3PL soon enough. And so we ship from Sydney for our US and international customers. So getting product on the ground will be really powerful for us in order to scale into 2025. And just our central mission, it's, again, to positively impact millions of people in their health. And so when you impact millions of people, you will naturally be blessed as a company. And that is something that I want to continually harp on about with my employees, so they know, okay, why we do what we do. There's strong purpose and meaning behind what we're trying to achieve. So that's what I'm excited about. It's what makes me passionate. And I'm grateful that my co-founder and I and my team, we have a strong purpose and we can truly make an impact.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. Like I said, you have an amazing story, and it's so cool that from that adversity that you experienced with your own health, you've been able to build this incredible brand, these incredible products. So congratulations on all of your success thus far.
Thanks, man.
I look forward to following the journey. Just one last question. Was there anything that you wanted me to ask you that I didn't, or any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our community, early stage startup founders, either just about to launch something, just working on something, or recently hit product market fit?
It's a great question. I think one thing that I really love to tell other companies in our industry, and that's a little bit of it's not applicable to everyone, but you can take the general concept. I think business is there to do good. And I don't see my competitors as competitors within my industry. I see my competitors as the junk food industry that's creating the most highly addictive salty, sugar, fat-based products that don't satiate you and make you addicted to those things and contribute to the chronic disease burden that we have. My competitors who produce great quality products, they bring people into an industry that costs more than buying junk food. And so if they're producing great quality products, they're able to get people in to try maybe health foods for the first time and have a great experience. And that's amazing, because once you're in an industry like this and you're then healthy and you're looking after your health, you'll try products from all different brands. But if you're a company that is producing crap products and health washing, like greenwashing, pretending it's healthy, you're leaving a very bad experience for a person who's coming into our industry for the first time. And they'll be like, why am I going to try this shit? Like, I'm going to go back to junk food. And I think that same principle should really apply to a lot of founders going out into the world. So many young founders, they want to just make a shitload of money. It's like, well, no, like, what impact are you making on the world? Like, why are you doing this? Because as you talked about, like, when the hard times hit, when burnout hits, like, what's your why? And if it's just to fucking make some money, like, what are you doing? You know, like, make a genuine difference in this world, because we live in a world where we got this ridiculous thing called eCommerce, and it allows this incredible low barrier to entry to be able to start a company. When you, like, 200 years ago, like, God knows the complexity of starting a company back then. So we're incredibly blessed to live in this time where you can be entrepreneurial. You can go out there and take risks and then go again, even if you fail. So go and take some risks creating products that genuinely make a difference and that leave a lasting impact on the world.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your passion. I love it, dude. Well, look, thank you so much for taking the time to come down. This was an awesome interview. And like I said, congratulations on all of your success, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it.
Hey guys, if you love this episode, you've got to check out my interview with Davey Fogarty on how he finds trends in undercapitalized markets and turns them into multi-million-dollar businesses.
I'm generally looking for trends globally. We find trends that haven't been kind of capitalized in certain markets or in certain marketing channels.
Yes.
And then we also obviously add our flair to it. You need to differentiate your product.